all good though. Okay.
I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I am really excited about my next guest, Toni Navy. We actually met on LinkedIn, I believe. We met through a mutual contact, Oleg Lahi. So I'm really excited to have her here today. We've been on a call together and we have so much in common in terms of understanding the importance of our mindset, of continuing to stay positive, especially during these challenging times that we're faced with today. So I'm happy to have her come on today and give us some of her insight and words of wisdom. So at this time, I'm going to give Toni the floor to introduce herself before we get into the interview.
Oh, thank you so much, Lachelle. It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to not only have gotten a chance to connect with you through Oleg, but also just to be here and really be connecting with people, especially during this time. It's how do we keep encouraging each other? How do we keep motivating each other to keep moving forward because this is for the long haul. And so for me, I'm a business strategist, but I also do a bit of operations for business and leadership consulting, especially in the pandemic space. And I've had a chance, this is near and dear, was a time where I would go inside corporations and facilitate their leadership training and help them hire and coach and lead their teams for high performance. And now you can't go in and actually facilitate trainings anymore because they are shut down. So I had to do some things to pivot, to shift, to retool my own business to do what now I'm calling pandemic consulting, or what you're seeing out there. So that now it's, how do you hire in the age of COVID? How do you actually lead virtual teams so that they're high performing and still be conscious of connecting with people, loving on people, giving them self-care, and helping them to continue to navigate what's happening as we continue to work and have our lives completely integrated in this time. So that's my zone, and it is a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And, so you brought up some good points about people having to pivot, change things during this landscape, because you have a lot of people who are used to what they've always been doing. They've been doing things for years, or veterans somewhat in their industry. So what advice would you give them, first of all, in terms of being able to kind of navigate through some of the changes? Let's just take with technology during this time for whatever industry that they may be in.
Well, if we're talking, Lachelle, I'll separate between leaders and maybe even, employers or
Hmm.
people that are contributing, as well as business owners, right? Or,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs or business owners. From a leadership standpoint, if we're talking about technology, the tips and tools there are recognizing and learning how to ensure you're giving your teams whatever tools and technology that they need. And I know that that's like fundamental 101. They're working from home. You got to figure out and make sure, or be conscious of, everybody doesn't have the same kind of internet access and internet connectivity that we
Hmm.
assume everyone has. People do need certain type of phone connections as well as the actual equipment, and making sure that they have what we would do inside the workspace. Do you have
Hmm.
ergonomic space? Do you have a workspace at home that can actually help you and be conducive to you working and not getting workplace injuries because you work from home? So those kinds of things are just the basics of having
Hmm.
someone work virtually. I think from a leadership standpoint, the other word of wisdom is identifying and working with your team to identify technology or tools or automated tools um, that help you to collaborate and connect effectively with your teams. And I'm not just talking about Zoom. Sometimes there's
Hmm.
breakout opportunities for you to collaborate, and everyone has a repository like Microsoft Office, and there's a Microsoft collaboration platform as well, where people that are working in different projects can collaborate together on one platform. All the information stays there. Everybody's able to access, connect, and even with their meetings and with tasks and all those things, so that now, whether they're on site or whether they're off site, they're now getting a chance to stay connected, collaborate more effectively as a virtual or on site team, and still get business done. And actually, many times they're performing at even a higher level and getting more done because they're having to learn to work with people no matter where they are around the world or across the nation.
That's
So
good.
Yeah, so thank you. And that, I mean, from the leadership side, I mean, I think that's a big deal and that's a big transformation. But what I'm finding as we teach professionals that, like you said, they're not accustomed to this environment. They're, you know, some leaders are not accustomed to managing people that are virtual, but there are
Mm-hmm.
some employees that we've never been at home. We've always been in the office literally working. So the quicker that that employee can say, okay, I have to not only embrace technology, and maybe some of that's that learning curve, leveraging social media, leveraging whatever tools, and taking those classes online and just getting up to speed. The more you use them, the better you become, because this is not just a patch fix. You know, this is,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking earlier about this being in people's mind. When everything first happened, it was like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, our adrenaline is just running off. This is going to be a short period of time. They were approaching this as a sprint. Well, let's
Mm-hmm.
get real now. This is now a marathon. So now people are settling in and starting to, you know, fall off with their energy and their excitement, because all that adrenaline was helping us go forward. Now it's, you're running a completely different race. So how do you leverage tools? How do you leverage technology to keep you moving, networking, and staying connected with your people, with your peers, and with your leadership team, making sure that you're communicating as well what's going on, so that they know you're still performing even though there may be challenges, and communicating when there are some issues that are going on, so that you can get those resolved and keep moving forward.
That's good. Now, so, let's talk to the people that, you've been a veteran, you have done things a certain way, and now you are not only not aware of how some of these things are changing,
Hmm.
but you have to ask for help, which in a lot of times that is seen as a sign of weakness,
Yeah.
to admit that you don't know anything, or for people to feel like maybe they're going to be obsolete because they don't know certain things. So, what advice would you give them in terms of how to make that pivot and adapt? What are some things that they can start doing to kind of position themselves strategically for this change and any change in the future?
I think that that is a very good question. And I'm going to give you a short answer, and then I'll give you like my extended version, because I think, you know how it is, because, you know, there's a double-edged sword in this
Right?
conversation. And the reason why I say that is because strategic is long-term thinking. Okay.
Right.
But when you're a vet, when you're somebody that has, or you're in an older generation that, oh my gosh, there's things that you can't come back to work and do now. You, the transferable skills, what do you do different now in this environment? How do you shift and change? People are like, well, you know, I'm trying to do my thing the old school way that I've always done it. This is what's worked for me for the last 30 plus years.
Right.
So I don't always necessarily approach them right away with, this is what you need to be looking at strategically. They see it, they know, they've been around long enough to know strategically. It's like, look, every day I have to change everything I've been doing for a lifetime. So I think a part of that is coming from a place of empathy as you're leading that person, recognizing if they're on your team, how do you really connect with them? And then it's the person themselves as the vet, as the whomever, saying, okay, I'm going to do these two or three things. Now, the little pockets of action, or the little time frames of action that it takes for you not only to do two or three things. It's one, to actually learn some of the core key technology that you have to learn in this environment if you want to keep a job or if you want to actually work. So there's a decision making process that has to happen, and it is a shift in mindset, but it becomes a shift in mindset that says, okay, if I don't do this, what are the results? Because I can't not just participate. I can't go back to work at this time. What can I do? I have to learn something new and something different. So for me to do that, for something I've been doing for a lot of years, one of the things I'll do is give somebody, okay, we're just going to pick these two or three things today that you're doing. Every day you wake up, this is the tool you know you need to learn. Let's just do 1 power hour. A power hour is you're going to hammer away, maybe learn or utilize or whatever this one thing for 50 minutes, and then you take a 10-minute break. And then you might go on and do whatever else your work is and all that stuff. But what it does is it gives a person a mechanism, a framework to say, okay, I have to do this, but I can see in my mindset doing 3 things today toward that I don't want to do, that I don't like to do. Or I can see doing 50 minutes of this 3 times a week because I have to get it done. So if it is social media, maybe it is watching a couple of YouTube videos. And then maybe it is, okay, I've got to get on, or maybe it's an email engine or whatever. I've got to get on. Let me at least send an email. Let me make myself do something toward this every day, but block that time, because now it makes you realize this is something I can do for this short period of time, or my brain can focus on doing the 1, 2, or 3 things because I can see the end of the road. And so that's tactically. But then strategically, it's also saying, okay, for the long haul, if I'm going to continue to do this, I'm just going to need to have to convert into, here's what I'm really going to have to learn and how I'm going to have to put this into practice for a long period of time. And or do I want to shift what I'm doing and do another job with transferable skills? And then that is a decision you're making from a strategic standpoint to get yourself into a different space, if you so choose, in the midst of COVID-19 and the types of positions that are out there.
That's good. Yeah, I'm telling you because I think, and one of the things I hear you say is about asking yourself the questions. We get so caught up in just taking on what other people are saying. You watch the news, you hear that commentary, and that becomes your commentary. But if you take time to really just sit down and ask yourself the questions, you empower yourself to have the answers and take a position of authority and empowerment to do what it is that you feel would best serve you and your industry or whatever. So I really like that. Now, so for somebody who just moving forward, I mean, of course, I'm assuming you had to do a lot of pivoting. Maybe you were used to the landscape of actually being digital, but, just kind of remolding a lot of the mindsets of people who are in these organizations and things like that. What is it that you do in your routine that helps you be in a position to be able to tackle some of those challenges when it comes to overcoming mindset shifts and limiting beliefs and things of that nature?
Man, that's a great question. And that's loaded. That's my kind of question. That's a Toni kind of question. I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 things in the same question at the same time. And
You're a
wait a
good
minute.
listener, girl. That
Yeah,
you're a good.
can I say it? Can I say it back to you to make sure I heard what you said? Can I catch
I
all that?
love it.
You might want to know, right? So, no, but seriously, I mean, for me, I hear you, because I have had to make my own pivot. I had to have, like I said earlier, you go in and you're training all these different trainings, and yeah, I can get back to that so quickly before, shelter in place, because I know how to coach, leaders to hire in behavioral interviewing and all the different interview styles that we can teach. How do they lead their teams for high performance? What does that look like? How do you deal with different, leadership styles, and how do you adapt those things to how do you adapt your style to leading your teams? But the shift I've had to make is it's the same stuff I'm teaching. Think about it. Everything I just said, you're still doing it. It's just you're doing it in the age of COVID. The pivot has been, how do I do that now with everyone sheltering in place? How do I do that now with, we have to hire people or we have to terminate people, but if we have to hire people, how do we do that only virtually? How do we now redeploy people that, okay, you know what? They were here in California. They still have a job, but they decided to move to Texas and work from home. Well, you're not still going to get the same California salary in Texas if that's your home base now. So don't think you were cutesy just because, so we've had to, for myself, I've had to shift the thought process of putting myself in the shoes of my client. What do they need? What are their barriers? And how can I tweak what they already have always needed as a leader and as manager or as a professional? How do I tweak that for this age? How do I make sure I'm researching on the best practices, what's going on in different industries, and hearing from tools and techniques from other industries, because sometimes those tools and techniques can work very well inside your industry. So that's from a client-facing standpoint. From a personal standpoint, I am doing one of the things that I told you about for the veterans. I do block time, and it's a time frame where I used to do 2 power hours. I would do back to back 50 minutes, 10 minutes off, just to step away from the computer or whatever, and then come back and hammer 50 minutes. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't do that. I mean, not can't, right? Can't is a strong word. I try not to do that because you're at home and your whole viewpoint of time has shifted. Even for me, the viewpoint of time and it just be running all together because you're here all the time and not really able to go out in the same way has shifted.
Right.
So I do 50 minutes. I even put on my oven timer because what it makes me do is have to leave my office, leave my desk, and go turn off the oven timer. And then instead of in the 10 minutes, instead of just sitting back or whatever, in those 10 minutes, I turn the oven timer back on and I'm like, okay, let me go put a load of wash in. Let me go, fold my clothes. Let me go do a little bit of this or a little bit of that. So if you have kids, right, it's let me help my kids do this. Let me get them settled, blah, blah, blah. Let me just take a moment. And then I go back and I put my 50 minutes on again. And then I'm reset in my mind and in my spirit to be able to come back. And so I'm also doing some manifestation things in the morning to journal, to help myself process what's going on and get my feelings out so that I am refocused and keep re-engaging. So between that and really connecting with people, whether it's on the phone or via Zoom, those things are important to me as well, simply because in those 3 spaces, I can learn what you're doing. I can support my friends and my network better than ever I have before. And still focus externally as well, serving people at the highest.
I love that. And, I wrote that oven timer on there. That's a good one because I
Okay.
set my timer here, but it's like, that is something to get you moving now. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you could stay like a hermit in your office.
Yeah,
Now,
that timer can go off any old time you want. And you're still I was doing that.
Isn't that the truth? Okay. And it's like, look, and this weight is just not coming off. I've been eating everything while I'm sitting down, right?
Oven time does not mean go eat. It just means timer.
But that is good. Now, so manifestation. So you mentioned you do that. So let's dive into that because a lot of people, we hear this term and, everybody thinks positively. They know that there's certain things they can do, but, there's a difference between having a vision board and then believing and manifesting something. So explain to the audience, what do you do when it comes to manifestation?
When it comes to manifestation, I agree. I think there's a difference between, like you're saying, vision board. There's also a difference between, oh, I'm just listening to a motivational video or I'm saying the same statement over and over again. When you are manifesting, you are literally having to step back away from yourself, looking, and I happen to be going through a challenge of 50 days of manifestation, and they are giving me the thought of the day, that I am, so they're giving it to me, but you know what, when theirs is off and it's not what I need for the day, me and Jesus just have a little connection, and I take a little download, and I'm like, okay, Jesus, this isn't working for me today, but what do you think I need to be thinking about?
Amen.
Okay, because I want to sit there and I need a breakthrough. I need to not be stressed that my child is going back to school tomorrow, and I need to know that, okay, in this space, all these things, but manifestation is around you taking that one statement. And it's like, remember, when we were in Sunday school, they would make you remind yourself of all these scriptures and you would have to say them over and over again until you receive them into yourself. Whether you deal with the higher power, the universe, whoever you are, is, I serve the Lord. So, but when I'm manifesting, it is not only taking that scripture inside, but it's also helping me to shift my mindset of how I think about things. And manifestation means I am projecting in my spirit, in my thoughts, and in who I want to be or who I want to become, where I want to be, what kind of revenue I want to generate, how I want to impact my family, the people that I touch. I am visualizing those things and internalizing those things by what I'm saying. And I manifest, or I say my statement for manifestation on a regular basis throughout that day. And then maybe the next day it's something else. So the other thing that I thought was powerful too in this exercise is, I know that this is going to look weird, but I'm going to do this real quick. They have you say your statement. Like, let's say today I'm manifesting a breakthrough because I need a breakthrough. Today is my day of breakthrough.
Okay.
And I have some other little things on that, but anyway, but they have you do some things that really reconnect. They're having you reconnect your neurological pathways with what you're saying so that you can reshift your mindset. So they had
Okay.
me do like an exercise of figure eight, and I'm saying, today's my day for breakthrough,
Ah,
or I expect abundance, or all those things. And I'm looking at my thumbs, and it's resetting my brain pathways. And then I do something around my ears. It's the same kind of thing, and I'm saying it. And then I do literally, it's like a reconnecting. It reconnects your mind, and I'm saying it either out loud, or if I'm outside, I'm saying it to myself. And then I put my hands over my heart, and I'm saying the same thing. And at first, yeah, it looks weird, and I don't do it around everybody, but I recognize it shifts your mindset, because as your
right.
body starts to move and shake and reprograms you in different ways, it's relinking the messages that you receive, because we receive so much toxicity
Right.
every single day. I had to turn the news off, for a period of time. Can I just read some headlines
Mm-hmm.
so that I can manifest, stay in that space to the extent, remind myself daily to deal with the same things I'm manifesting, so that my actions, my do, my who, my activity focuses on what I am manifesting, and
That
like the vision board. So there it is. I'm internalizing the vision board and where I want to be also.
I love that. And because I was doing an interview yesterday, and the gentleman said that your consciousness has no memory. So your memory lies in the subconscious. So your
Mm-hmm.
subconscious is involuntary for the most part. Any kind of involuntary actions, like we don't have to tell ourselves to breathe, it just happens. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have to tell ourselves how to walk, brush our teeth, and certain things. So it makes sense if you're doing an activity that's you're voluntarily doing that your body can do involuntarily. The
Mm-hmm.
words that you're saying are going into the subconscious, which is allowing it to manifest quicker, because your subconscious mind is working on manifesting that more so than you consciously trying to tell yourself that.
That is brilliant. Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And that subconscious is taking it deeper to the Oh, that's really, I can see that. I mean, I'm definitely a believer in regards to changing your thoughts and changing how you think about things. And information is that way, but we take for granted. It's like our bodies. You could exercise all night long, like you're saying. You can say those words all night long, but not really receive them into your consciousness. So you can
Right.
exercise, but if you're not changing what you eat, your body is not going to make the true transformation that you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's some good stuff. So, I think that's really a profound thing to remember. Also, it's kind of like tricking your brain to some extent, because you're able to download this new information while the subconscious is in a position to be open to it while you're awake, rather than trying to dream about it, which only happens in certain times of deep sleep, if you even get that. If you're stressed out, anxiety, and all this other stuff, which is why you need to manifest some stuff in the first place, you might not even be in a position to do it, right?
That right? Okay, this is why you already have an issue. Okay. I'm Toni Navy. I have problems. 50 days. 50 days. I'm doing time.
Right. So that is good. Now, so what advice would you give people now, just in preparation for, what this is like after this pandemic, things maybe in the industry, trends that you see that people should probably be looking out for in terms of places where they can pivot, maybe they're doing something right now, but you notice, I don't know, just within your work, some things that are going to be probably profitable, or new trends that are kind of on the horizon, as things begin to open up.
I would say a few things. One, which is kind of personal, which is prepare again for us to go through one of the worst recessions that we're going to be seeing in a
Mm,
very, very long time. And I don't mean the banking recession that we had in 2008 and 9. And the reason why I don't mean that is because that was banking, and you saw a lot of foreclosures, you saw a lot of different things happen. But I want people to recognize right now, there is such an economic collapse that has happened. And right now people are being funded via, you filed taxes and now you're getting the stimulus check, and all those things are coming to an end in a time frame when COVID is about to resurge. This resurgence is going to be, and it's been projected by a couple of folks, whether it's CDC, whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's a couple of, I don't know if Fauci has, Dr. Fauci has indicated, but he probably has, and I just haven't seen it. We've got the flu season coming up on top of a pandemic that spreads 5 times faster than the flu season, or than a flu. So when you think about really preparing for this upcoming time frame, it is about making sure you have cash available, that you are basically really stocking up now. Don't get to the place where this is August. Don't get to the place where in October and November, you're like, oh, let me go get toilet tissue now. Oh, let me go get canned goods now. No, start right now. Make sure you have water. Make sure you have all those things, because for a 4-month period, we're talking November, December, January, and February at the very least, in every place across this nation. I want you to imagine flu season, and especially with the weather changes in different states, it is going to be a shift. So to the extent that you can do side hustles and basically stockpile additional dollars, what if your actual company has to slow down? What if they have to actually shut things down again and are not paying through the holidays? How do you, making sure you're preparing for that? Not keeping all your eggs in one basket. I'm seeing people do side things just like they used to back in the day. Think about it. So-and-so had their day job, they came home and they made baskets, they did this, they did that for whatever was going on. You see in your community, there may be people that are customer service folks, or depending on whatever your industry is, there's still multiple things that can be done, and you need to find those things so that you can diversify what you're doing. So that's from just a true pandemic tactical. I'm literally doing it myself because the tea leaves are the writing's on the wall. It is there if
Right.
you're willing to read it. On the
Yeah.
flip side, from a economic side, a professional side, it is saying, how do I upgrade my skill set, knowing I can get online and find anything on YouTube. I can get online and there's an article, there's a podcast, there's a webinar. Things are so accessible right now and free. There's no excuse for you not to be able to go online and type in the words. What industries are successful in the age of pandemic? Financial services, for sure. People that are insurance agents, your accountants, your tax professionals, people that are in financial services or that are doing your stocks or this or that, they are still in business big time. There are certain technologies that are jumping through the roof, and there are certain ones that are not. If you are not, salespeople that now need to know social media, if you know you're going to stay in this space, you have to shift your skill set, whether you're a veteran or whether you're somebody that's like, I want to have a career after this and I don't want to be on the customer service agent at Amazon. Nothing wrong with it, because anybody making a living right now, thank the Lord, you're making a living. And if that's what you need to do until you get to wherever else you need to go with whatever else, then by all means. So it's looking at what industries are opening up, but recognizing, okay, if we close back down, what are the in industries that are either emerging, and that's a search online. What are emerging industries, or what are the types of positions that survived during a pandemic? But also, what are the emergency types of positions that people can actually continue to do through crisis in the midst of COVID? So those are my big, 1-2s. And economically, I do believe we are holding the bag in many cases. And what I mean by we, the people, I mean, for example, if you're an investor, you've got a couple of pieces of property and you've got, a renter in the other property and they're not paying rent. Well, the banks are still expecting you to pay double mortgages, and you may have lost your job, but they're not giving us a break. But they're, and I'm not mad at somebody that, needed a place to live. You can't displace half of America because they all lost their job and can't pay rent now. You just can't do that. But at the same time, you saw banks really like closed down. The people that had equity lines and had equity in their institution, in their home, they weren't allowing, and many of them still are not allowing you to pull out the equity out of your home because they don't want to be stuck with that.
Right.
But they're sticking the people with that.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a time for us to not only be able to scale back and be much more fiscally conservative, but also
Hmm.
a time for you to look in your local community and start making inroads and building relationships like you never have before. Because this time of community will be, oh my gosh, in my circle, if I'm going to purchase this subscription, how can I purchase it through somebody that's a friend of mine that they will get an affiliate commission if I purchase it through them? Because I want my people, everybody in my network, in my circle, if I'm going to go buy fruit or I'm going to go buy this or that, who's in my network and I can still afford it, that is, doing this, so that just like the old communities where it was bartering, right? They would barter from each other. I'm not saying we could all barter from each other. I can't go do what I'm doing in barter and
Right.
still pay the mortgage and pay my son's tuition. I can't. So I am going to corporations or people that, but in your space, but even when I do things on the side or I'm doing other things in my life, I am
Hmm.
seeing how I can connect the right people inside my network, how I can actually purchase things from people inside my network, because
Hmm.
that is a game changer for helping someone, especially with things that you live and purchase every single day, including becoming your own go-to person. If
Yeah.
you can become the affiliate of something that you're already purchasing, then purchase it, get your kickbacks, and then repurchase other things that you need, because
Exactly.
now you're on site, you're online, and you've become an affiliate of whatever it is that you consistently purchase. And there's grocery stores and there's other things that you can do that will give you
Hmm.
those kickbacks, by someone using your link or shopping at your store, quote unquote.
Right.
So those kinds of things really help.
That's some good tips. I mean, I really enjoy that. And I mean, I could talk all day, really. You've got some good stuff going on. But I guess the last question I would ask, because, we talk about the importance of networking, having relationships, staying within our community, creating these community like experiences. What
Mhm.
is the best way for people to follow up? Because they say the fortune is in the follow up. This is how you build relationships, how you create more community. So, what tips would you give the audience about creative, unique ways that we might follow up and continue to build that philosophy in our daily routine?
This is a hard one, but a good one. It's a goodie, but an oldie, but a goodie, because
Okay.
it's always been something, right, that people have had an issue with, which is
Hmm.
why they talk about fortune is
Still
in the
is.
follow-up. Right, and still is. And it gets even worse because now you've got, I'm on this platform, I'm on that, I'm on
Exactly.
Facebook, and did I get in? And I'm on Twitter, and I'm in LinkedIn, and there's somebody called me, and I just finished doing a Zoom, and then your notes are in this, or your calendar is in this, and oh, I don't want to do any of it, and that's
Right.
people get frustrated and shut down. That's true because I've been there. So I'm only speaking my truth,
I'm
right?
still there. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay. So here's what I had to do. I'm a systems girl. So I'm a background as VP of operations, HR director, and I've managed operations for multiple companies here in Fort Lauderdale and in the Bahamas. So for me, it's all about, if I will set up a system, something that works for me, because every automated tool doesn't always work for everybody.
Right.
And including myself. I mean, I have
Hmm.
automated tools, I have funnels and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna write it down, girl, before I really put it all online. So
Right.
I have a nice little spreadsheet. I printed out. It's legal, for example. And all my little to-dos or action items, things like that, 1 through 30 on that page column. It tells date, time, client, who, whatever.
Mm.
That's actions. What did I do? What percentage am I finished? What are my comments? What's going on with that? Because it drives me crazy not to know, and I can't remember everything. And especially now in COVID, you can't remember jack diddly. I mean, you know what?
What day of the week it
Did I
is?
just do that?
Okay.
Yeah, right, right. Did I just do that? Did I leave that light on? Did I? You know what I mean? That's it's 10 times worse with the business, right?
Right.
So I deal with that with a spreadsheet, and yes, I update it, or I work with one of my teammates to do the updates of that so that I can sort and I can keep on top of that. I do the same thing with my call log. I have a call
Mhm.
log. It allows me to do that. And yes, some people use an online tool. I'm just not that girl because I may be talking to
Mm-hmm.
you and I'm scribing or taking notes. I have a specific place where I take notes from a call versus my call log
Mm-hmm.
because I need to be able to flip back. Oh, Lachelle, I've got my specific notes and I should have done a note review before I had this call. I mean, I have to do those things so that when you do follow up, you're good. I think
Right.
I think picking one tool and social media that is going to be
Mm-hmm.
most effective where your people really congregate. And when I say your people, for me, it's primarily business. I may connect with you personally, and yeah, I have Facebook and everything, but if I'm really connected with you personally, I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling you on Zoom.
Right.
Those are my friends, or, I'm not going to, because I only have so much to give. But if
Right.
if your platform is LinkedIn like mine is,
Mm-hmm.
that follow up, I have become it's become a really big place for me, and I'm glad it gives me the alerts. I've not yet transitioned it to my phone, but here's what happens, and I want you to walk with me through this cycle really
Okay.
quick, which is I called you, you called me, we have a connection, blah blah blah. Let's go ahead and meet. So the thing is going back and forth via email of what time. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. I don't do that anymore. I have what's
Mm-hmm.
called Acuity Scheduler. It is an automated
Mm-hmm.
calendar. I go in every week. I put in my availability, and you even book time. I sent you a link that said toninavy.com/mastermind so that you can see
Mm-hmm.
my available time, book time, and now it's on my calendar automatically. And it gives you reminders. So that improves my follow up. Then if we've connected, that's great. I'm still going to make sure I go back and connect you into my LinkedIn. Why? Because I may not email you all the time, but you're not top of mind there.
Mm-hmm.
But in LinkedIn, I'm going to see, oh, Lachelle posted this today. Or let me go into my LinkedIn network and see who I haven't touched bases with, because I can't perfectly keep all those people on my list. There's over 1,000 people now. And by the time I'm done, there'll be thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? Well, it's by cycling through your lists inside LinkedIn, culling that list, taking off people that are not as effective, putting back in
Mm-hmm.
people that are more effective. But the follow-up becomes, what tools do I need? When do I need to follow up with someone? And what is that value? So social media people that are important, you bring them from the social media platform into your real live world. They come on my call
Mm-hmm.
list. They get book time on my calendar. And then the
Mm-hmm.
follow-up becomes easier because I'm using a system to do it. But if you're just
Mm-hmm.
out there blowing in the wind and I haven't connected, you're in my social media. So I can still connect and
Mm-hmm.
engage, but the follow-up is not as critical.
I like
So
that. That's
that's my,
good. Yeah, I mean, you got to have a system. I mean, that is really the only way to do it. And I love the way you put, hey, everybody in your social media may not be your friend, or who you're doing business with. And we think, you can get so sidetracked with how many people saw your posts, or
yes.
responded and things like that. But at the end of the day, are you connecting with these people? Can you call them up? Are they making introductions with you? I mean, things like that. So sometimes we get, um, we just get caught up in the highlight reel or something instead of really looking beneath the surface. So I think those are some good points that you bring up.
Good,
So
good.
now, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Oh, absolutely. People can either, email me at
Mm-hmm.
toninavy.com, and just for spelling purposes, it's Tnavy. My name is
Mm-hmm.
Toni Navy, Toni with an I, Navy, like the United States Navy. Anyway, so my email is tnavy@toninavy.com. So TNAVY at TONINAVY.com. Or
Okay.
you can go to toninavy.com/mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
And that will actually link you directly into my calendar. You'll be able to book time on my calendar, and we'll be able to connect live then via phone.
Awesome. And so, what final words would you want to share with everybody today?
Oh my goodness. I would say one of the things that's been most impressionable for me that I write in my day timer every single day are the 3 words that define who I am, who I want to be no matter what this pandemic or what this space is now, and what I want to be known for. And my 3 words are ignite, transform, and legacy, because everything I'm doing is, how can I ignite you to be the best you are in my zone of genius? How can I
Mhm.
transform your world, this world, even if it's one person at a time? I am here to transform someone. And how can I leave a legacy behind for my children's children, for my, lineage, but also for all the people around me that God created me to touch. So, what are those three words for you? And how does that manifest in your life and in your world? Because when you start to really refocus on the things that are most important, then this just becomes a crisis, a pandemic. It becomes something, but we're going to get through on the other side. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It is, what am I going to do while I'm walking through? And what am I going to do when I get on the other side? And those three words are what define me every single day. So find those three words, if you have nothing else, that are going to help you get through, so you can see how to keep focused and get through where we are today for your tomorrow.
I love that. Now, that was great wisdom. I hope everybody was taking notes, and I encourage them to reach out to you because this has definitely been some golden nuggets. I normally am just writing profusely, but because I'm recording, and this is one of the things I love audio podcasts for, because I can take all kind of notes. But I love to be engaged when I'm doing videos. So
Right?
I'm gonna go back and listen to this again because it definitely. But I do remember that oven timer. Okay, we definitely gonna implement that.
Okay. Sometimes it's only one or two things that'll
I
change your life, right?
know. 'Cause
I'm
I'm
so
like, hey,
glad.
I can incorporate exercise with that. So
I
I'm
do.
excited. Yeah,
I do.
that's one of the things about listening and learning. It's like, okay, how am I going to implement this? This is the thing that I think every time I have a guest, you just don't want to hear about stuff. You want to figure out how you can make it a part of your life so you can get better. That's the whole concept of iron sharpening iron. So that's what I like about it.
Oh,
I can
ab-
actually put it into practice. So I appreciate that. So
well,
yeah, my kids are gonna be like, here she is in here again. Or is the food ready? I'm gonna be like, that's my timer.
you don't know. I'm getting stuff done. I'm productive. This is your mom.
Right,
Get on the timer. Now I told you the timer's on now. You got 50
right.
minutes. Get it done. We're working together.
So true. Yeah. But this has just been a joy. I've been so excited to have you today. And
Oh,
I look forward to us collaborating again in the future.
absolutely. And thank you so much. It was truly my pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Well, we will see you the next time, okay?
All right.